Hey guys, James Rowney here for another vlog from Home and Beyond. And I've been staying over at Bracknell last night because today I'm going to be going to a theme park that I haven't been to for 13 years. Can you imagine not going to a theme park that you haven't been to for 13 years? Well, the last time I went there was back in 2008, and the theme park I'm going to today is Chessington World of Adventures. Now, I'm going to be checking out some of the changes that have been going on since the last time I was there. But before we begin, there's just one thing left to do, and that is cue the titles. And it's a shame it looks pretty muggy out there today, but I'll manage somehow. But before we do head off to Chessington, there is a few things that we need to do first. The first thing is fill up my car, Rosie here, give her a bit of a top up, and before we do head off to Chessington, there is actually one place I'm taking you guys to first that only usually happens during the Christmas period. You'll soon see in a minute. Well, first things first, start the engine and turn on the wipers. There, that's better. Right, I managed to get the car filled up. Might as well put my hood up, so it's now started to bucket down with rain. But before we head off to Chessington, allow me to present Ascot Forest. And why exactly are we here in Ascot Forest? Well, as we go further down, you'll soon see what I'll be talking about. Well, did you know that in this area here, there's actually a secret portal to a mystical land called Lapland? Well, this here would be the entrance portal to Lapland. Now, usually for the rest of the year, the whole of Lapland would end up becoming invisible. That's because between you and me, LaplandUK is actually a secret place. Well, I have to admit, driving on the M25 was a bit of a challenge, especially when it's raining, but it was all worth it in the end because finally, after 13 years, I am finally back at Chessington World of Adventures. Right, time to find out what sort of changes have been going on since the last time I was here. Let's do this! So here we go. After 13 years, we're back. So I finally made it through the entranceway, and when you scan your ticket, you should actually hear a roaring noise. Honestly, now that is what I call theming. In fact, I reckon Chessington is actually got to be the most immersive themed park in the whole of the UK. So I think I'm going to go to my first destination, but before we do that, there's something that we need to look at first. Now, if I remember when I first, I think it was about 2003 when I went on my second visit, it's on this very grassy area here that they used to have their show here called Birds of Prey. Now, I don't think there's going to be much entertainment today, especially the way that the weather's going. So if we make our way down here, this here is actually what used to be known as Transylvania. And it was actually one of the first themed lands that came to Chessington back in 1990. So this attraction here, we have the Gruffalo River Ride Adventure. Now, did you know that back in 1990, this used to be known as Professor Burp's Bubble Works? Well, back in 2006 also, Professor Burp would eventually end up moving out and Imperial Leather would take over, but it wasn't until about 2016 that the Bubble Works would eventually close down completely and the Gruffalo would move in. Now, I've never actually been on this ride before, so I'm actually going to give it a good spin. Here we go. And plus, I really needed an excuse to get me out of the rain. And this is the perfect place to come and ride on at times like this. Well, it looks like due to guest actions, looks like the ride is going to be delayed for a short while, but don't worry, we can come back to that later. Now, I'm thinking of, if we look up there, this is a Chessington classic that has actually been around since day one. Vampire. And also, do you see Vampire's Burger Kitchen here? Well, this building used to be a McDonald's restaurant, which is probably back in the early 2000s. So here we are. Now this has got to be the fast track entrance way. So if I can find the entrance to the ride, I'll be able to ride on it for the first time since 2008. Well, it looks like I'm in luck. Looks like Vampire is about 5 minutes. Turn back? No chance. So whilst we walk along this queue, we might be coming across a few Easter eggs from some of Chessington's past. So we might see a few headstones. Sorry, got a bit distracted there. So we might come across a few gravestones that have very familiar names on them. And let's see if we can find them whilst we make our way down to the station. So if we come up a bit further up the road, now normally if it gets really busy, they normally have some drinking vending machines just to quench your thirst. Or should I say, to quench your thirst. Let's see what's engraved on the stone here. Abandon all hope. The vampire is about to strike. Well, if that's spooky enough, sure hope someone doesn't jump out on me. Oh my god, I completely forgotten what it was like to be on a roller coaster. Oh, honestly, it's good to be back on a roller coaster for the first time since the pandemic first started. It's bringing back my love of theme parks back. Woo! Right, I think I might as well go and find somewhere to dry off and head to our next destination. Now this here is actually one of the gravestones I've actually been talking about. Now this here, Dennis, death by banana, a frightful premise, all it took was the skin left by a menace. MM-MMIX. Now that is actually a major reference to Dennis the Menace when Beanoland closed back in 2009 when Wild Asia took over. And here's another good joke. Professor Burp. Gone with the Wind, 1990 to 2006. And that was also during that time when Imperial Leather took over. So if we actually look here, that actually looks like Frazzle the Dragon. Let's see what happens when I pull this. Oh! Something's happening. Oh! Hi, Frazzle.
Good day, brave knight.
Good day.
Yes, I see. For you have awoken me from my slumber. Go forth and venture into the land of the dragons, where more winged creatures might just cross your path. But be wary as you go. Some may not greet you so kindly.
Well, thanks for the advice, Frazzle. I'll come back in a bit. And unfortunately, Dragon's Fury at the moment is now closed. I don't know why. It probably might be for refurbishments, I'm guessing. But if we head underneath that archway, this here was actually the home of one of Chessington's very first licensed IPs. This area used to be what was known as Beanoland. So if we actually look here, the Jungle Bus tours, this used to be down at the further end of the park. As we go closer, you can see that the fountain is still in its place since Beanoland opened back in 2000. So we look on the right, if you see the Cobra attraction, this used to be where Roger the Dodger's Dodgems used to be. And now the Dodgems have moved on to the opposite side of the park. I don't know if it looks like they're open. Probably might pick up a little later on. And if we look over here, this tree house, this actually used to be Dennis's tree house. And on the right, used to be what was Dennis's madhouse. And of course this, the monkey swinger, used to be at Billy's Whizzer. And it was actually the first attraction of its kind to actually shoot water at you. I remember first riding this back in 2008 and I was absolutely soaked. And if you think this is actually going to get me wet, I'm still pretty much wet I am now, as it's still raining. So this here, this actually used to be known as Roger the Dodger's Dodgems. But if you actually have a look on the handbars here, you can still see a tiny bit of references to Roger the Dodger's Dodgems still on this attraction. Now this fountain here, whilst it was back in its Beanoland heyday, this used to be actually used for a stunt show that involves Dennis and Minnie. What they actually did is that they actually got onto the top of the fountain and they would take the cover off and the water would shoot straight up and causing Dennis to start flying up into the air. I remember seeing that when I was on Roger the Dodger's Dodgems at one point. Now this bit here, this used to be part of another Beanoland stage show. And I remember that very well indeed. Now this up there, this is where Dennis used to have his own joke machine. And it's also another stage show where Softy Walter was involved. And if you'd like to check that out, be sure to check out the video in the link above, which should be happening right about now. Be sure to click on that video and check out that video on that very spot right up there. And down there where Tuk Tuk Treats is, this used to be what was once known as the Fizz and Burp Cafe. Now a little fun fact about Dragon's Fury, back in the day it was actually sponsored by Chris brand Skips. And this of course is the new attraction that's just opened this year, Croc Drop. Oh! Oh, I'm so gonna have a go on that. Probably will do in a minute. So right now I'm outside Toon Blaster, which back in the 80s was actually another Chessington classic, which was once known as the Fifth Dimension, and then was rethemed to Terra Tomb, and now Toon Blaster. And there's only about a 5-minute queue, so I'm actually gonna go and check it out. So, this way to the tomb. Now I believe in some of these cabins here, this is where Abdab used to reside. Should be heading upstairs that way. Oh my god, I mean, I literally have never been so scared witless since I can't remember the last time I was scared witless on an attraction like that. Literally scared the life out of me, that did. So I'm just gonna find somewhere to sit down for a bit, and then we'll probably go and check out the new attraction that's just opened just this year. Well, here I am again in the wild woods and just about to board the Gruffalo River Ride Adventure, what was previously known as Professor Burp's Bubble Works, also previously known as simply Bubble Works. I guess that's another way of getting my steps in.
The mouse found a nut, and the nut was good.
Now, I'm actually loving this mural here. It's almost like it's actually been taken out of the book and brought to real life. I'll tell you what though, coming in here, it smells like a swimming pool. Kind of reminds me of Centre Parks a bit. So here we are, over the iconic archway, and see if those fountains are still working. But I absolutely love the theming in here, especially on the roof here. Well, here we go. Just about to go into the river ride of the Gruffalo. Oh, hang on, am I going to get splashed? Am I going to go... Oh! The famous fountains have been here since 1990. Woo! So I just came off the Gruffalo river ride for the very first time, and of course I got to see my favourite part throughout the whole ride is, of course, you guessed it, the fountains. That's right, the fountains are still working, and they've been here since the very beginning back in 1990. So I'm going to be heading myself back over to the I think it's the Forbidden Kingdom, I think, and then get on to the new Croc ride. Well, looks like I'm in luck, because there's only about a 5-minute queue to get onto Croc Drop. Oh my word! Well, honestly, now this, I have to say, is probably one of my new favourite drop rides. Feels like a more tamer version of the Apocalypse ride at Drayton Manor, but absolutely love it. But here's a little tip for those who want to ride it: make sure that you eat after the Croc Drop, not before. In fact, I've actually enjoyed that so much, I wouldn't mind going around and do it again. But I just got off on my second ride on Croc Drop. Definitely well worth the time. Definitely recommend it. So right now I'm just going to be heading off to back to Wild Asia to see if I can have a go on their Cobra ride. Right, only 5 minutes for queue time. Let's get on to Cobra. Sorry about the mess of the hair there. So, I just came off Cobra, and wow, literally when I got to the edge, I thought for a minute I was just about to take off. Still, that was a fantastic ride, and I really recommend that. So, I might even think about going on the Dodgems again to relive my Beanoland childhood. Well, I just finally came off the Dodgems, and earlier I did have a go on the monkey swing, which was originally known as Billy's Whizzer. And both those rides, they certainly take me back to my childhood when this place used to be Beanoland. Absolutely loved it. It kind of made me wish I went back in time too. So whilst we're here, let's have ourselves a little bit of quiet time and have a look at some of the animals down in the zoo. Oh man, what a day. Well, thank you all for joining me on this special look back trip at Chessington World of Adventures. So that's James Rowney signing off for the day. Oh, and don't forget, coming soon will hopefully be a vlog to commemorate on Brom's 30th anniversary, where I take a trip to his home at a motor museum in the Cotswolds. So hopefully look out for that. So until then, either a new vlog, recipe, compilation video or reaction video. See ya!